Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay?
Uh,
Can everybody hear okay? Brilliant. Okay. My name's Henry. I'm Chief Commercial Officer at Telixo, the world's largest B2B ground transport company for pre-booked rides. If anybody needs to get to the airport, please do use Telixo. And I'm also a writer at Irish Tech News. With me today, we've got Alan, who's the co-founder of Hired and also Talkable. And we've got Mark, the president of Zora. Would you like to introduce yourself, guys?
Sure. Mark, why don't you start?
yeah, okay. Thank you. Good morning to everyone. So I'm the president of Zora, and let me say a few words about the company. We are a subscription revenue management platform and revenue automation platform. And actually, if I'm taking this unbelievable even as an example, everything is shifting to subscription and everything is about subscription. What do? Is to, in a simple word, we help companies, B2B, B2C, in any vertical markets, to turn their products into real money. We help you to monetize your products and your strategy to move to the cloud or to transform your organization from on-prem to really SaaS or physical product to really digital products and offer to your customer different ways to consume your product and services.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Alan Grant. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Most recently, I started two companies. One is called Hired, hired.com, and the other one is called Talkable. I'll tell you a little bit about both and why this topic is interesting for me. Hired is a two-sided marketplace that helps companies hire engineers. And when we started the company, it was priced similar to other recruiting businesses, a transactional company, so you would pay for every hire. And for reasons that maybe we'll get into later, we've recently shifted to where most of our revenue actually comes on a subscription basis. So companies will subscribe to Hired to hire the people that they would like. The other company that I started, Talkable, where my time is focused right now, helps companies acquire customers. We're a marketing automation platform that focuses on refer a friend. So if you know those programs like in Dropbox, where you invite your friend, they get free space, and you get free space if they join, we power those for big brands of the world. And where we started focusing on e-commerce, we saw that there was a big shift, both in the e-commerce world and in the software world in general, to subscription. In the last year, we've put a lot of focus on basically pushing our platform to support subscription businesses, both e-commerce businesses, companies like Trunk Club, where you can both buy and subscribe, as well as pure subscription businesses, cases like Dropbox.
Brilliant. And I mean, it's a subscription these days for everything, right? I mean, the likes of Dollar Shave Club was the actual kind of first one I heard of. And obviously, as you can tell, I didn't actually sign up. But basically, I think there's actually a subscription for literally everything now. And personally, do you feel there's actually fatigue now with subscriptions? And people are really tired of having to go to this place for that place for this, and that place for that? And do you feel it's going to really merge into one product that actually offers everything for consumers?
Yeah. I agree with you. You are taking an example of the Dollar Shave Club, which is a B2C. And in our day life, the average consumer really has, in average, 12 to 15 subscriptions. But it's not only about that. The way that I have the tendency to define it, either you are a startup or you are a large organization, to be able to become relevant or to stay relevant in your market and to avoid to be disrupted, it's not only about product innovation. Product innovation has been the core at the center of any strategy. You will need, in addition of having the best products, to have a business model innovation platform. You want to be in the position to offer to your customers and consumers, B2B or B2C or B2N, different ways to consume your product. And in reality, you and the consumers and your customers are demanding a subscription. They don't want to own your product anymore. They want the outcome of the products. They want to use the products, and they want you to be responsible to offer them the best experience possible. So when we call it subscription, in reality, it's a flexible consumption. And in exchange of that, what we can offer to the companies is the ability not only to target a segment of the market to be able to sell their products in a subscription way, you can now broaden the scope or the spectrum of the customers. You might have a low intensity usage customers, or you might have a high intensity usage of the customers. But this low intensity usage of the customers, you can tomorrow start low and upgrade them to high intensity, depending of your ability to offer the best experience possible to your customers.
Brilliant. And in terms of B2B, it's a different play, right? So obviously you mentioned obviously that you guys in the green room had actually moved from actually a non-subscription model to a subscription model.
Right.
Would investors see that as a pivot? You know, obviously it's a very different model from what you've got, and it must come at a very big operation cost as well. So how did you find that was positioned with the people that was actually backing you and also the people that was working for you, really?
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't see it as a pivot at all. We see it as a change in pricing strategy. So I can tell you a little bit of the backstory. So originally when you would hire an engineer on Hired, you would pay 15% of the first year salary. So that might mean that you're paying $15,000 or $20,000 out of the get-go when you're hiring somebody. That can be a lot for a startup. We introduced a new pricing model at one point that was called the 1% plan. So instead of paying 15% up front, you could pay 1% over the course of 18 months. Now, in that case, the cost is spread out, but psychologically, you still understand that when I'm hiring this person, I'm going to end up paying this amount over time. As we've shifted to basically subscription based on what we've heard from our customers, what we found is that customers wanted to be able to hire people without thinking about it, of how much is this going to cost relative to hiring somebody from a different channel. And so for our business, it works really, really well. But it also introduces some challenges in a B2B case because in our case, there's a very high cost to every candidate that we place. We spend a lot of money finding the best people in the industry. And so that means that it's a pretty difficult equation to balance. And kind of to your earlier point, as far as subscription fatigue, I'm actually of the opinion that we're just at the beginning of this phase. So as we all see, these waves come where you've got a wave, you've got a bit of a decline, and then you have the steady growth. So I think that that's where we are right now. We've seen a lot of products being put up for subscription that maybe don't make as much sense. Like Dollar Shave Club, I think in some sense it makes sense, but maybe not for everybody. But there's other aspects where subscription is absolutely the right model. What we're getting to now is an economy where you can actually have things on demand, and it creates a greater degree of flexibility and a different sort of lifestyle.
And I think HelloFresh was a European startup that started subscriptions in Europe for meal kits, right?
Right.
And in Europe, they really struggled to get traction, and they only really game changed their business when they went to the States. And I think the States has been educated for many years that subscriptions is a thing, right? Do you feel that this is a geographic play? Like you can really do this in the US, but you can't do it in Asia or Southeast Asia, or you can do it globally now?
We are in a global economy today, and I believe the new generations, the millennials, they don't want to own anything. So regardless where you are, and Zuora has offices all over the world. So we started an office in Japan. It's working very well. In Europe, we do very well as well. But I believe your question has potentially some profound implications. Okay, you're talking about the cultural shift. And I believe the cultural shift is potentially for the company. We're talking about a large organization. They have to pivot from their current business model to subscription. Subscription, it's about customers. And finally, the customers, I will say, own the customers at the end of the day. But the benefits for the company is tremendous. When you think about your organization, Alan, saying that you are shifting also to subscription, the unbelievable insight you can get about your customers. And it's not only helping you to make money, we can help you to make a better product. Because if you charge based on what the customer consumes and how the customer is using your products, guess what? You will have unbelievable insight to be able to improve the customer experience. And this has a profound, somehow, cultural shift for the large organization. We hear a lot about IoT. Most of the companies for many years, they've been structured around the products. And all the companies' organizations have evolved around the product. You have distribution, you have customer support, you have the engineering, you have the product. If you put the customer at the center of that organization structure, now guess the benefits you can really realize from having that level of insights. And I believe this is probably the most significant shift that most of the organization will have to go through in the next couple of years.
And with regards to HelloFresh specifically, what's kind of interesting is that when we think about subscription for physical products that are being mailed out to you, this is, to me, the tip of the iceberg of a trend that started actually decades ago. Because when we look at the first things that came out in subscription, it was infrastructure, these big costs. You're no longer having to build these massive server farms. You've got things like AWS and Azure and all the different places that help you get there. Then what we did is we we took the business apps online, the CRMs and so on and so forth. Now when we're getting to actually subscription consumer products, to me this is the tip of the iceberg or maybe the tip of the pyramid that's built on top of all of these other shifts. And because it's the newer place, I think that we're going to have experimentation, we're going to have iteration. Yeah, sure. I'm not sure if HelloFresh would have not been able to be successful in other geos. I think that it's just, we're early.
Yeah, and maybe just taking some example, because sometimes when you talk about subscription, I agree with you, it's a lot of technology. I mean, software, there isn't any startup or any software companies that will not shift or isn't proposing a subscription-based business model here. I like sometimes to take some examples that are just incredible. Back to 2 years ago, I received a call from a company that is designing and manufacturing seats for the cars. And they told me, Mark, we would like to talk to you. We would like to come to visit you. We are in the Bay Area, but what about us? What can we do for you guys? We have a project and we would like to submit the project to you. And their vision was to say, we know long-term, in mobility, no one going to own the car. So, and there is a big market for us now, which is the Ubers and the Lyft and the Tours of the world. It's a big potential market for us. And what we are thinking about is to design seats with all the options you can wish to have. So while you are taking your ride with Lyft or Uber, you can add one option there. I want to have a massage while I'm moving from San Francisco to SFO. And I look at it, he's right, because tomorrow Uber, 5 years, 10 years, they will probably own their cars. And then they will probably equip the car, and they're working with Uber actually. They will equip all the cars with those high-end seats in any car, and then you can upsell your customers. They can pay for the ride, and they can pay for the option to have a massage in the car while they are commuting. So there is unlimited here, but everything goes to the same points, customer experience.
Yeah.
So in terms of lifetime value, I mean, I was part of building a company called Just Eat, which is a takeaway marketplace. And we charge the restaurants to go onto our platform of a subscription fee of a one-off charge of £700, which isn't a great deal, but for a restaurant, it's making $5K a week, it's quite a big amount, right? And we found that obviously because they paid that psychologically, they would never leave.
Lock in, yep.
If they want to leave, we could save it because they have paid that, right? Yeah. So do you feel you're actually getting buy-in from consumers that actually kind of is an illusion of the actual carrot being obviously the money that you want, but really you don't want that, you want their loyalty really. So do you feel that you do get that and the lifetime value is better for the customers?
Sorry.
Please.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so on the LTV, to address that point, completely agree with you, but I think it's beyond just lock-in. So I actually had an interesting experience today where I shared a taxi on the way over here with a group of folks from Microsoft, and we talked about this topic for a bit, and they mentioned how effectively when Office shifted to subscription model, it changed the LTV of the Office product completely, because what you would do previously is you would buy Office 2005, and you'd keep using it in 2018, who's on Office 2008 or earlier? Probably most of the people here. Now with that shift happening, from what I've heard now, the Windows group is getting reorged because they see the entire company being focused on this new model. So it has a tremendous effect on LTV. And like you said earlier, it really aligns kind of the incentives of the company and the customer to continue to innovate, continue to improve the product.
So obviously, I think you touched on a point earlier that sometimes distribution is the key, right? So I mean, always actually. It's never the best tech. So do you think actually that there's actually a disruptive factor on the price of subscriptions, or actually the quality of what you're getting really? I mean, because obviously, I've got loads of subscriptions and half of them I don't use. So do you think obviously that that is healthy? Because you don't really want to forget about subscriptions, right? I mean, obviously, if you've got them, people want you to use them, right? So
it's a B2C problem, I would call it like that, okay? So we own a lot of subscriptions. But back to your question earlier, paying that's $2 or $5, am I getting the level of services to be able to keep me as a consumer, okay? Or is it just a tactic from the services provider or the services provider to somehow earn me as a customer and try to hold me as long as possible? I'm back to the experience and back to the value once again. Same thing for the B2B. Regardless of what you buy, regardless of what you consume, at certain points, the customer, could be a B2B or B2C, will have the right to terminate your subscription if they don't realize value. I will give you a fantastic example. I believe the company that did the best job at that is probably Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime, the first time I subscribed for it, $120 to $140. I said, why the hell I have to pay for it to get back free shipments? But when you look at the services they've been capable to wrap around it, by understanding who are their consumers.
Yep.
It's now today when I'm talking to my wife, why do we have? Say, I will never remove it. I have Amazon TV. I have a lot of channels for free. We order once a week or twice a week something. It's already basically, I have already the value there. I believe the value, it's really important, and the customer experience is really important, and the customers, B2B, B2C, would be willing to pay for it as long as they realize value.
And from a distribution perspective, as you mentioned, distribution is key, and subscription actually gives you more optionality on various distribution things because the LTV isn't set on a one-time purchase. So even like going to the things that we do with Talkable, with referral programs, a lot of times you wouldn't be able to do that in cases that are not subscription, because let's say you're going to offer somebody the first month free, right? That means that for them to get the first product experience, costs nothing, and then after that, they're hooked. Well, if you have a one-time when you're monetizing it, there's no way that you can do that, because you're either giving it away for free and you make nothing, or it's a discount and they still have to pay. In other words, maybe they're not perceiving that value. So it actually opens up a lot of new distribution options that are otherwise not available.
So I mean, like Candy Crush, they built their business on the whole King. I think it's King behind Candy Crush, right? They built their business in their game through Facebook referrals, and it got really spammy, right? And like everybody gets referrals now. So how do you differentiate and say you're better? Because the company I've just joined recently was using Pipedrive, and they thought Pipedrive was actually working really well.
Yeah.
And then when I showed them what Salesforce could do, they was like, whoa,
Right.
this is amazing. So how do you differentiate with people that don't know no better?
I think it comes down to the fundamental product value. I think with referrals, with loyalty, with a lot of other things, the main thing that matters is, does the product actually work? So as we jokingly say, advertising is a tax on bad products. And the counter side of that is referrals only works for products that customers really, really love. Yeah. So I think that it comes down to fundamental product value.
How do you communicate that, though? How do you tell people you're the best guy for what you're doing?
Well, in an advertising world, you rely on a biased ad, whereas in the referral world, you actually trust somebody that's had that experience. So it really shifts that equation.
I will call it, it's a customer acquisition strategy, okay? And I go with you.
Yep.
The product has to be good at the end of the day. But when we talk about subscription, I am back to what I said earlier. As a company, you need to have a monetization strategy, and monetization strategy goes to which kind of product I'm going to launch, how will I price it, what will be my customer acquisition strategy. This is what we call subscription in our world. And that customer strategy, acquisition strategy, I can offer a freemium. Yeah. I know that my product doesn't cost me a lot. I know that to acquire a customer costs a lot potentially. So I will acquire them for free, and then I will define my customer journey, okay? And I will upgrade them from one level to another one to get my paid back later on.
And really quickly, so Tencent's founder the other day said that the consumer internet is now dead, and it's all about the industrial internet. How do you see that affecting subscriptions?
I believe we are just at the beginning, and actually you see the trend. IoT has an example. IoT is just the beginning. Every physical product will be subscription-based tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we're out of time, guys.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thanks.
And I saw there were a few questions we didn't get to. If anybody would like to, please come up to us afterwards. Happy to answer some of them.
Yeah, please. Thank you. Thanks.